Nowadays, the field of translation is increasingly growing, not only economically in favor of what we call cultural capitalism, but as a unifying tool that embraces all the languages and the cultures of the world. Audiovisual translation is a vast and well-known field, and within so-called translation studies, it has gained its own space. All of us, at least once in our lives, have seen a film with disability as its main theme, or that included a character with it. Nevertheless, few people can imagine someone with sensory disabilities in front of a big screen. Indeed, it may seem paradoxical that deaf or blind people choose to be a part of the audience. This is the first clue that perhaps cinema is not so inclusive. Usually, we have access to audiovisual products in two forms: the original and the translated. Take adaptation, which is necessary when the work may not be well understood by the target audience, or subtitling, including subtitles for people with hearing loss. Not to forget audio description, which has the role of telling what is going on, without interfering with the original product, to translate into words what might otherwise only be seen. While dubbing means giving back in another language the same emotions, the same intensity, the same intentions that an actor has already given in his original language. Dubbing consists of several stages, obviously not all of them processed by the same people. It can be said that voice actors are the main characters in the scene. They cannot be defined as stars in the Hollywood firmament, but they are stars who know how to shine and remain in the hearts, or rather ears, of those who hear them. Locked in their little rooms, their faces are illuminated by a screen and a small light on the lectern, and their voices, in the shadows, make possible the prestige of dubbing. The dubbing director, meanwhile, is quite comparable to an orchestra conductor. He or she must make sure that the product eventually sounds, whereas sound engineers, as well as mixers and synchronizers, are basically technicians who deal precisely with the more technological parts of recording. Despite the fact that at least 8 years have passed since the first film with sound, the same question is still being asked. Is it better to have cinema in the original language with subtitles or dubbed cinema? The pros and cons are intertwined, and one should open a case depending on the film, if not depending on the individual viewer and the relationship he or she has with that specific film, and be able to choose. Unfortunately, in theaters this is not possible, so we rely on pleasing the majority of people. I simply believe that we should be happy to live in a country that, with a long tradition of dubbing and acting, surely has all the qualities to provide us with dubbing done properly, without making us lose the ability to view the original product. The third chapter is the result of in-depth research of the famous Lord of the Rings trilogy, a mind-blowing work by the writer Tolkien. Right now, it is impossible, or perhaps for those who are fans of the saga, unnecessary to recount the plot in such a short time, or to talk about the most important adaptation ever made, the film saga of Peter Jackson. For this reason, it will be my pleasure to mention the unique work done for the publication of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of AD, an essay that includes an audio description of the first film in the trilogy. In fact, blind and visually impaired Tolkien fans had to wait a full 18 years to receive the audio description of their favorite film, until they started a social media demonstration launching an appeal to which Professor Laura Giordani promptly responded, calling in turn a group of professional colleagues. This booklet is intended to address students in particular, or at any rate the curious who want to clarify doubts about this technique that is as important as it's still unknown. Going to the movies should be one of the most widespread and satisfying pleasures in people's daily lives, but nowadays this is still not possible for everyone. Compared to this simple habit, people with disabilities experience every day the fact that very little attention is paid to this experience, even to the point of being completely ignored. During the process of writing my dissertation, I approached and explored different audiovisual translation techniques, but during the research, I unfortunately learned that there is still little information about the barriers that exist for each and every technique mentioned. In a society that we aim to call young and advanced, every individual should benefit from equal opportunities and essential facilities without discrimination. So, for example, at the point when we talk about audio descriptions being absent or never produced, we are faced with a violation of this value. Within my dissertation, I have often mentioned the word accessibility, and this is not by chance, because I firmly believe that this essential principle should be not reduced to a mask of benevolence or, what is worse, an inconvenience to be dealt with.